Let's see who can stay in the house the longest.
Fine.
Nice. You're probably gonna win.
Uncover the truth behind the quirky and humorous world of Regular Show. Is there more to Mordecai and Rigby's adventures than meets the eye? Join us as we dive deep into the world of Regular Show and explore the possibility of a dark secret lurking beneath its colorful surface. From the seemingly innocent park antics to the bizarre and supernatural events, we'll dissect the clues and theories that might just blow the lid off this beloved Cartoon Network series. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew about Regular Show. Chapter 1: The Park of Dead Souls. Regular Show is not just a funny cartoon about the adventures of two friends working in a park. In reality, it's a dark story about purgatory, where the souls of the dead are trapped. Mordecai and Rigby, the main characters of the show, are actually dead. They died in an accident before the series began, possibly due to their irresponsibility or a stupid prank. Now they are doomed to work in the park, which is a metaphor for purgatory, performing meaningless tasks to atone for their sins. All other characters in the park are also dead souls stuck between worlds. Benson, their hot-tempered boss, may have died from a heart attack caused by constant stress. His anger and irritability reflect his inability to come to terms with his fate. Skips, the immortal Yeti, is actually a guide for souls. His wisdom and knowledge are the result of millennia spent in this limbo. He helps other souls find their way and possibly find peace. Pops, with his childlike naivety and optimism, could have been a child who died too early. His innocence and joy of life are what he retained after death, unaware of his true position. Margaret and Eileen, the main character's girlfriends, may have also died young. Their appearance in the park may be related to unfinished business or unfulfilled dreams of love. The strange and surreal events that occur in each episode are actually trials that souls must go through to atone for their sins and move on. Each adventure is a metaphor for inner struggle and personal growth. The constant references to the 80s in the show may indicate that most of the characters died in that decade. Their being stuck in the aesthetics and culture of that time is an inability to move on, to accept their death in the modern world. The creepiest moments of the theory are associated with the appearance of truly demonic beings, such as Anti-Pops or Garrett Bobby Ferguson. These characters may be demons or evil spirits trying to capture the souls of the park's inhabitants and drag them to hell. The final episodes of the series, where the heroes fight for the fate of the universe, can be interpreted as the final battle for their souls. Victory over evil and saving the world may symbolize their final redemption and transition to a better world or even rebirth. This dark interpretation gives new meaning to the show's title, Regular Show. It's a bitter irony. As for the dead souls, their existence in purgatory has become commonplace, a routine from which they cannot escape. Chapter 2: Psychological Disorders and Hallucinations. An alternative but no less creepy theory suggests that everything happening in Regular Show is hallucinations of Mordecai, who suffers from a severe mental disorder. Mordecai is actually in a psychiatric hospital. His childhood friend Rigby died many years ago, possibly as a result of an accident in which Mordecai feels guilty. Unable to cope with the loss and feeling of guilt, Mordecai's mind created an entire imaginary world where Rigby is still alive and they experience incredible adventures together. The park in this theory is actually the hospital grounds. All the characters in the show are projections of real people that Mordecai meets in his daily life in the institution. Benson is the strict chief physician, constantly trying to bring Mordecai to his senses and return him to reality. His outbursts of anger are actually attempts to shake Mordecai and make him realize his condition. Skips may be an experienced psychiatrist trying to help Mordecai. His wise advice and help in solving problems are actually therapy sessions, which in Mordecai's distorted perception turn into magical solutions. Pops is another patient with childlike behavior, possibly suffering from Williams syndrome or a similar disorder. His naivety and optimism attract Mordecai, allowing him to temporarily forget about his problems. Margaret may be a nurse that Mordecai is in love with. His inability to build a relationship with her in reality transforms into a complex love line in his fantasies. Muscle Man and High Five Ghost may be other patients that Mordecai has befriended. Their strange abilities and behavior are manifestations of their own mental disorders, which Mordecai interprets as supernatural powers. The creepiest episodes of the show full of monsters and supernatural creatures, may be a reflection of Mordecai's most severe psychotic episodes. At these moments, his connection to reality becomes even weaker, and his mind creates frightening images, possibly under the influence of strong drugs or therapy. Constant references to video games and 80s pop culture may be related to the fact that it was during this period that the tragedy with Rigby occurred. Mordecai is mentally stuck in the time when his friend was still alive, refusing to accept modern reality. The final battle for the universe at the end of the series may symbolize the culmination of Mordecai's treatment. This is his inner struggle to restore his connection with reality, and an attempt to finally let go of his fantasies and accept the truth about Rigby's death. This theory gives a new creepy meaning to the show's recurring phrase, "You know who else does something? My mom, Barissima." This may be an obsessive memory of Mordecai's mother, who may have placed him in the institution and whom he subconsciously blames for his condition. Chapter 3, Mind Control Experiment. The third, no less frightening theory suggests that regular show is actually documentation of a secret government experiment in mind control and reality manipulation. The park where the main characters work is actually a closed facility where human experiments are conducted. Mordecai and Rigby are test subjects whose minds are constantly manipulated using advanced technologies and psychotropic substances. Benson in this theory is the project leader overseeing the experiment. His outbursts of anger are actually frustration from unpredictable results and the subject's resistance to manipulation. Skips may be the chief scientist who developed the mind control technology. His wisdom and knowledge are the result of decades of research in neuroscience and quantum physics. The strange creatures and incredible events in the show are actually hallucinations caused by experimental drugs and technologies. Each episode is a new experiment testing the boundaries of human perception and the ability to manipulate reality. A particularly creepy aspect of this theory is that some of these experiments may be deadly. Perhaps Mordecai and Rigby are not the first test subjects, and the park is full of ghosts of previous experiment victims. Constant references to the 80s may be related to the fact that the experiment began in that decade. Perhaps Mordecai and Rigby's consciousness was frozen in that time, and now scientists are trying to gradually adapt them to modernity. The appearance of characters such as Auntie Pops or Garrett Bobby Ferguson may be the result of experiments that got out of control. These may be manifestations of the dark side of the subject's consciousness or even other experiment participants whose minds were irreversibly damaged. The final episodes where the heroes fight for the fate of the universe may be the culmination of the experiment. Perhaps the scientists managed to create technology that allows the subjects to actually manipulate reality, and now they are watching how Mordecai and Rigby use these abilities. This theory gives a creepy meaning to the title regular show. It may be the code name for the experiment, the irony of which is that for the subjects their altered reality has become the norm. Chapter 4, Refutation of Theories. Despite the fact that the above theories may seem convincing and captivating, it's important to remember that regular show is primarily a comedy cartoon series created to entertain viewers. There are many arguments refuting these dark interpretations. First, the show's creators, J.G. Quintel and his team, have never mentioned such deep and dark subtext in their interviews or comments about the show. On the contrary, they often said that their goal was to create funny and slightly surrealistic content that would entertain both children and adults. The surrealistic elements and strange events in the show can be explained by the creative approach of the authors and the desire to create a unique, memorable world. Many cartoon series use similar techniques without having hidden dark subtext. The development of characters throughout the series contradicts the idea that they are stuck in purgatory or are part of an experiment. We see how Mordecai and Rigby grow up, learn from their mistakes, and build relationships. This looks more like normal growing up than atonement for sins or mind manipulation. The theory about Mordecai's mental disorder is also unlikely, given that many episodes focus on other characters and their stories, which Mordecai could not know or imagine. Constant references to the 80s can be explained by the nostalgia of the show's creators and the desire to attract an adult audience, rather than a hidden subtext about death or experiments. The final episodes of the series, where the heroes actually save the universe, are difficult to interpret as a metaphor for redemption or the culmination of an experiment. This looks more like a typical escalation of stakes towards the finale for many series to create an epic ending to the story. It's also important to note that regular show was broadcast on the children's channel Cartoon Network. It's unlikely that the creators of the channel would have approved content with such a dark subtext for a young audience. In addition, many elements of the show that theories interpret as sinister are actually typical tropes of comedy series. For example, Benson's hot temper is a classic image of a strict boss, not a sign of a demonic entity or an evil scientist. Finally, the very spirit of Regular Show contradicts these dark theories. The series is full of optimism, friendship, and belief that even ordinary people can do extraordinary things. This message is incompatible with ideas about purgatory, mental disorders, or sinister experiments.